Welcome back, guys. Today we'll look at paper 21 of the October-November 2022 series. Question 5 says a program uses two 1D arrays of type integer. Array 1 contains 600 elements and array 2 contains 200 elements. Array 1 contains sample values read from a sensor. The sensor always takes 3 consecutive samples and all of these values are stored in array 1. A procedure Summarise will calculate the average of 3 consecutive values from array 1 and write the result to array 2. Okay, this will be repeated for all values in array 1. And then here we can see the process. So if we look, the first 3 values, right, 10, 20, 15, the average of these are calculated and then put here in index 1 in array 2. The next ones, I guess what position, index 4, 5, 6, right, they're going to go here to, position 2, or index 2 in array. So, alright, let's just go ahead and try and do this. Now, again, if you want the sample code, this test data, go to the exam questions, or I choose, the correct question, the correct paper, and then, you can find this. Alright, so if I just go and start writing this, let's go Summarise. And I think there's a couple of ways we can do this, but the way I'm going to try, if, for example, we just want to loop from, not 1 to 600, but if we just think about this, let's say the first 3, what we can do is we can kind of add, let's say in the for loop we have a counter called n. Now this 35 would be n, right, and then this 54 is n plus 1, right, this 62 is n plus 2. And then what we want to do is, we can have a step of 3 in the for loop. So that means that, the next time it's then going to get these next 3 in the for loop. The next time it will get these next 3. Okay, so we need a step of 3 in the for loop. And then if we think about the ending position of the for loop, we actually don't want to go to 600, because if we go to 600 here, then we'll try n plus 1, right, 601, n plus 2, 602. So that will be out of bounds. So what that means is actually we only want to go to 598. So let's just try and start writing this. And I think maybe one thing we can also think about how we map this position to array 2. Now we could do it using div, okay, or we could just do this using a kind of simple counter. Because for example, we know, these first 3 have to be in index 1 in array 2. The next 3 have to be in index 2 in array 2. Okay, so we can just have a counter that we increment, or we can use div. And I'll try and show you using both methods. Right, but let's just go here. Let's declare a variable. Let's call it average, and this is actually going to be an integer. Now, of course, usually an average will be a real because you're dividing numbers, but here it does say these 2 arrays are both integers. Okay, so we'll have to use the int function. Right, okay, and then I guess we can also have a count, or maybe let's call it array 2 position, something like that. Now I think here we can just start looping, so let's go n. And this will start at 1, and then we'll go to 598, and if you remember, we need a step of 3, right? So it just increments like each triplet basically. Right, then we can actually calculate the average. So here, first we need to convert it to an int, or I guess afterwards we need to convert it to an int. And then what this will be the array 1. Then we'll go position n. Right, then array 1. Right, this will then be n plus 1. Right, plus array 1, and this will be n plus 2. Right, and then, so, this should all be in brackets, right? So we're going to do all of these additions. Then once we've done all of those additions, right, then we divide it by 3. And once we've done the division by 3, then we're going to convert it to an integer. Alright, so I think hopefully that should work. And then, in fact, hang on, let's just remember just to initialize this array 2 position. And I guess we can start with 1. We could start with 0, but if we start with 0, we would have to increment before. So we would just have the plus 1 before. Whereas if we start it at 1, we can just have this after. Alright, so I guess either are going to work. And then what we want to do, we just want to go array 2, then we want the array 2 position, and we can then just assign this the average. Right, then let's just go next n. And then let's just go end procedure, and hopefully that should work. Now I'm going to just test this here, So let's go call, right, we'll then go summarize, and we can just quickly loop through and just output these. So here we want, or n will start at 1, then we'll just go to 200, and here we will just output, right, so this will be array 2 and then index n. Right, then if we just go next n, and yeah, let's test this. Right, I mean, so this seems to work, and if we actually test this, so 35, 54, 62, well, that's going to add to, I guess, what, 59, 89, yeah, I guess, what, 91, is that maybe 151? Yeah, maybe my maths is wrong there. Let's just output this, so 35, 54, 62. Okay, yeah, so we see this is 151. And then, of course, you know, if we divide this by 3, well, that's going to be, what, 50 and 1/3, right? But then since we're using int, well, that's just going to round down to 50. And if we just kind of call this again, then we should see that, yeah, this is 50. Right, and I mean, guys, I think likewise, yeah, it also works for this last one, because I did test this before. Okay, so, I mean, yeah, hopefully this makes sense, and I think I did say I would show you the div method. So instead of sort of having this array2 position variable, you know, we can just delete this. Let's think, so if this n is 1, well, then if we just go, for example, you know, 1 div 3, well, that's going to be 0. So we basically want to do, you know, 1 div 3 and then plus 1. Okay, because likewise, the next time n is going to be 4. So then if we have, well, 4 div 3, right, that's going to be 1. And then if we have plus 1, okay, that'll be position 2, right, or index 2. So let's just try that, and let's have brackets. So we'll go n div 3, and then just plus 1. And I think hopefully this should work. Let's run it again. Yeah, okay, so you see we just get identical results. Right, guys, so again, hopefully both of those methods work, and I mean, well, any questions, yeah, ask in the YouTube comments, ask on Discord, and we'll see you in the next video.